Hey folks, this is Farmers Market, second day this week. Thought I'd show you what I picked up at the market today. A little different than my Wednesday haul with all the greens. Let's see what we brought home. There is a farm that brings together a whole buttload of apples. They have different varieties. You can pay by the bag size and fill up whatever kind you want. But instead of buying that, I opted to get this seconds bag. It's number 2. They're freshly picked Honeycrisp, but they, have some blemishes, so they can't sell them at the premium price. And as you can see, a lot of them are totally fine. They just look, not as pretty. Taste perfectly fine. I just had one that had these blemishes, and you don't even notice. So for this whole 25-pound bag, of which I gave some to the house where my mom lives, the assisted living, was only $15. And I think it was $6 for a 3-pound bag otherwise, something like that. So I paid less than $1 a pound, and fresh picked, they're at least $2 a pound, maybe a little more. And that's even cheaper than often what you might find at a store. They also sell this locally pressed cider, and we like to blend it with carrot and ginger. I think it's one of our favorites. It was labeled a kabocha. Looks a little different. There's a sweet dumpling squash that looks similar, but nonetheless, the flesh of these is really deep orange and super dense and sweet. We love them. And super rich in fiber, vitamin A, beta carotene. Highly recommend as we start heading into fall, if you don't already eat a lot of winter squash, to give it a try because it's so sweet. It will just take care of any sweet cravings you have if you start eating more sweet root vegetables, especially winter squash. Anyway, on Wednesday, all the greens that I had bought, I didn't need more yet, but I did pick up one bok choy because I love the juiciness. There's a really nice man that sells these. He picks them fresh. And this is great, like mixed with the kale, because kale is kind of dry and bitter. I did buy one lettuce and more of these plums, which are actually quite good. They're not the black plums anymore. They're yellow inside, but they're nice and juicy, already soft and ripe. Got some red onion and a pretty hefty watermelon, which I actually, because Don was working, carried all of this very heavy stuff while holding my mom's hand back and forth on a pretty hot day. So I definitely worked up a sweat. I did harvest some of our own Swiss chard and the last of our potatoes, which I will show you at the end of this. And anyway, I just wanted to share, I had a couple interesting conversations at the farmer's market and at my assisted living, my mom's assisted living. And it is clear that the herd, as my husband said, the most people now really believe that if you have diabetes, you should avoid fruit and sugar. And, really it's the fat that blocks insulin from doing its job, getting the blood sugar into the cells where it needs to be. So when the keyhole is blocked, insulin can work just fine. The pancreas can create the insulin, but more and more gets created because it's not shuffling in the blood sugar where it needs to go, and that creates a buildup, and that leads to the hyperglycemia. So anyway, we live in a culture where everything is quite upside down, and I encourage people to try eating more plant-based and getting off the herd mentality, because these foods have been shown time and time again, plant foods, fruits, vegetables, greens, whole grains, beans and legumes, to help decrease risk for so many diseases, help you stay feeling great throughout your lifespan. And as Don and I know, every time that we've fallen for all the herd hype and tried to go low carb or eat animal foods again, we really paid the consequences. And we have now, been in practice and have seen family and clients for so many years now who have really suffered greatly from eating all of these high protein animal-based diets that include a mix of processed foods, refined foods, and sugar. But it's the fat salt that's the most hyper palatable, followed by the sugar and fat. And when people pick up something like cinnamon bread, which is this conversations I had today, they get all freaked out knowing, that they're going to indulge in a guilty pleasure, but they completely just label that as a sugar. And a loaf of cinnamon bread is loaded with fat, butter, nuts, cinnamon, refined flour, and yes, some sugar. But the sugar isn't even the main problem. But that's what our culture has been trained to perceive that as, and they're not seeing that that's just, it's got carbohydrate, but it's got equal or more fat, calories, along with a fair amount of sodium. So anyway, that's my little message. Enjoy the last of our own, some of the last of our own local harvest through the rest of the video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. So this is the last of our potato harvest. That's all that remains. And not the highest yield this year because of how we planted, but they still taste so good. I yanked out a few of these beets because they were really sticking out of the surface, just getting dried up. We just really haven't had any rain, and it's been pretty hot and sunny here. I pulled out a carrot that's he's beside himself, going sideways here. So probably need to work on that bed for next year, making it a little deeper for these poor guys. But anyway, the greens look nice and fresh, which are edible and got a lot of iron and nutrients in them. I love the beet greens too. Got a few here. Hard to believe, but we still have plenty of green tomatoes on the vine, so there will still be some tomatoes to come. Got a lot of green ones on this plant. And a few remaining here, and this is just like got one lonely little person. That's probably the end of that one. But yeah, this one's been pretty prolific. I harvested a bunch of parsley, and I did cut way back on this basil, so I'm blending that up to make a kind of oil-free pesto with water, some chickpea and red miso, a little vinegar, nutritional yeast, lime, and whatever else I think I need once I taste it. We've got kale going, and it's struggling to not get eaten by those cabbage moths, so that has been our nemesis. Still have a ton of chard, and I really should be harvesting some of that. It's just really so prolific. I love it, and it's so fast to cook, sweet. Got some bees flying around. That's good. And let's see, I pulled out a couple of big yellow summer squash there inside, and otherwise I cut way back on all these leaves, which were dying. And I think we finally have, hopefully they come out, a couple of little guys growing here. And I think another little one in the works down there. So the garden is coming to the end of its season. Still getting some stuff. I'll have to cut back on this red currant bush and trim it. And I did grab a few green beans that I think you saw in the bowl. And there's our other tomatoes. Still got a lot of those. These taste awesome. And chives, I'm gonna try to get better at using these up or dehydrating them or something. Anyway, kind of coming to the last bit of our harvest here at our garden.